Hey everyone, welcome to Stronger. In this episode, I'm bringing on my friend Michelle Shapiro. I met Michelle through Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and she is one of the brightest minds in nutrition. She's also a very funny person. We've got some great dialogue going back and forth. But when I brought Michelle in, it was really to discuss more of the personalized nutrition that she approaches with her clients, mindset. But what I grew to realize pretty quick is that she really specializes in people with highly sensitive, I can't even say sensitive issues, highly sensitive issues. So if you have long COVID, POTS, histamine disorders, these are things that Michelle has really made a specialty in. I could not believe how much I learned from her. And I could not believe how many people out there actually have these issues and don't know about it. So I think that's something that you guys are going to really want to tune in on today. What are those symptoms that you might be experiencing and you just can't figure out, why am I going through this, right? And I looked at Sierra and I said, because Michelle noted that you and others should pay close attention to histamines because they can cause widespread issues like dizziness, severe insomnia, heart rate changes, physiological anxiety, rashes, and fatigue. I mean, God, and there's nothing worse than not being able to sleep. I mean, we've talked about this. So I think if you're going through some of these things, you may want to listen to this episode. You loved it. I loved it. We're going to have her back on. She doesn't even know that yet. I'm going to reach out to her and invite her back on. But guys, let's go. Hope you enjoy this one. So one of the reasons why this show is able to go on is because of our great support system, one of them being Rag & Bone. Now, Rag & Bone is very fashionable, very comfortable, which is important for me. I'm a 210-pound guy, so I don't like walking around things that are so tight. I just don't feel like it's a good look for me. So wearing things that are a little bit looser, they have that option. On the other hand, being able to wear shirts that are a little bit more fitted, they have it as well. So it's time to upgrade your denim with Rag & Bone, and this is the truth. Why am I going to say this? Because Rag & Bone came out with these denim jeans. It's so funny how, denim has changed throughout the years. They went with loose back when I was in high school. Then people were wearing shorter and tighter. Now I feel like some of the denim styles are getting a little baggier and looser now, which honestly, I don't like wearing things that are too tight. But for a limited time, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with code STRONGER. That's 20% off at rag-bone.com with promo code STRONGER. STRONGER. Hope you can spell that. When they ask where you heard about them, please support our show and let them know we sent you, all right? Tell them we sent you. And I can assure you, you're going to absolutely love it. I'm in love with the products. What can I say? Thanks, guys. You are a very well-respected RD, someone in the you are in the health and wellness field, and I love your vibe on everything that you're attacking, because you're even you go to your social media page and you've been leaning a lot into histamines. And when I say leaning, that's legitimate. These are issues people are having, anxiety. Totally. Talk to us about histamines a little bit, because I think it's also going to, turn a light on in a lot of people's heads to where they're going to say to themselves, well, maybe I need to start paying more closer attention to this.
Yeah. So histamines are a chemical messenger that are released from sacs in our mast cells, which are immune cells they're a type of white blood cells. Histamines are there to basically open up your blood vessels. They cause something called vasodilation, which I'm sure, Don, this is a word in your world. The opening of your blood vessels. When people have high blood pressure, they often want more vasodilation, not if you have a histamine issue. Basically, it'll create a slide in your body so that nutrients and immune cells can kind of if you open up the blood vessels, it'll make it so easy for things to travel throughout the body. They are involved in an inflammatory response in our body, as well as the other mediators that come out of mast cells.
So is it almost like a defense mechanism?
Yeah.
So histamine gets released
part of our immune
from
response.
Your body, part of your immune response. Yeah. So it gets released when you're, can you say your nervous system is basically
system or immune system are attacked.
Is saying okay, so something's not right.
Correct.
And then your histamine gets released in your body. So when we're hearing, this time of the year and it's the spring or the fall and people are sneezing, what is really happening there?
Yeah. So what's happening is allergies themselves, again, are activating our mast cells, our body, whatever the allergens are, they coming in through our nose, our mouth, our eyes.
Is that pollen, stuff like
absolutely.
pollen? Sure.
So when you think about a blister that you have in your body, it's a fluid-filled blister. Mucus is similar too. So during an inflammatory response, your body will send mucus to sites of injury, essentially, and will create mucus for irritated areas in your body as well. The other thing that happens a lot with seasonal allergies is people will get rashes and things like that. That is literally vasodilation, your blood vessels opening up, and you can see the blood pooling on the surface of your skin. So that is what the rashes that we often think of that come from allergies are from histamines causing that vasodilation response.
But like, what would be some of the indicators to where you'd say, call me up or this is where you need to reach out to me? Yeah.
So some signs that you might be having a histamine issue are if you feel like you get really sick, the healthier you eat. That's a sign to me, because if you're eating a lot healthier and you're feeling really sick, and that could be, again, it's almost like a general feeling of offness that I see with people with histamine issues, like something feels really weird and wrong, I'm a little disoriented, or you're getting really strong, like severe diarrhea or gut issues, which can happen. Urinary frequency is very common with people with histamine issues. Constant dizziness, severe insomnia that comes on pretty suddenly. If you notice you felt sicker after COVID for a long period of time, I would definitely look into a histamine issue. There's a very strong correlation between histamine issues and long COVID. And long COVID is something we could talk for hours about because it's really fascinating. But anxiety that feels very physiological, I'd say, for people. Heart rate changes that, again, like you're like, this has nothing to do with my heart. I went to the cardiologist. My heart's gorgeous. Like there's no problem with your heart. Things like that where you notice when you make postural changes, again, I went from sitting to standing. I almost feel like I'm blacking out. That would lead me in the direction of a histamine issue. From a practitioner standpoint, if you're going to a functional medicine doctor and you're getting sicker and sicker and not better, that's a sign there's a histamine issue. I will tell you, Don, most of my clients are now the people who are injured from functional medicine doctors, and I love functional medicine doctors and I love functional medicine, but it's because it's not the same game. It's not the SIBO game. It's not the leaky gut game. It's a different game. So when you do like a mold detox or a parasite cleanse or something like that, your body reacts from the detox so much stronger that you get sicker.
Yeah.
So if you're getting sicker, by the way. That's what I want to tell people. So that's usually the people who come to me. Long ago, you know this, the advertisement for functional medicine was this: if you've been to conventional medicine doctors and they didn't help you, we're your guys. That's who you come to.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, functional medicine guys weren't for you, and ladies, of course, me. Now that's who I'm getting. So I'm not getting the conventional medicine dropouts anymore. I'm getting the functional medicine dropouts. And when I mean dropouts, I mean functional medicine failed them. They didn't fail functional medicine. So that's what I would say is like, or you exercise and then you get like rashes all over your body, hives, feel really weird, not recovering, extreme fatigue after, heart rate issues. That's where I start looking at histamines.
So if someone comes in, they fully commit and they surrender, and you know what I'm talking about, because this is a mental battle with what you have to deal with. Every client coming in, it's, all right, is this tell me what I have to do and I'm going to do this the way that you would do this. That's how well I like to follow instructions. Or is it like pulling teeth? If someone's going to come in and fully commit to making these changes, do you find, and you probably can't answer this, do you find there's a window of time, a year to 2 years, 18 months, around when you start seeing symptoms change or,
So there's a number with histamine issues specifically. You need to, and this is a really weird thing with histamine issues, 90% of the time I have to use antihistamine, like over-the-counter drugs. Like I'll have to use like Zyrtec, Allegra, Pepcid.
Just to get the symptoms to calm down,
you have to get
start treating
the storm down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for some reason, our body has this weird thing where the higher your histamines are, the more your body produces histamines.
Yep.
You just have to take a sledgehammer to it. And so that process takes 3 months. So you can notice symptom reduction in a day. And if you change your mindset, in 1 second. And
That's incredible.
Really, really mean that. Like I have those moments with clients where I'm like, oh, boom, that's it. And they're like, you will not believe this, Michelle. I have not had symptoms for weeks. I'm like, no, I know the moment when it happened.
What a nice feeling.
You have to switch. Something has to click, and then you really have to get the histamines down. So that takes a little bit of time. So rerouting the nervous system and histamines, it could take 3 months. I don't work with clients for less than 3 months. None of my team does. We have 4 practitioners plus me. We have a 5th one coming on soon.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I don't usually take one-on-one anymore unless it's someone who's really, really needs me.
Needs you,
and otherwise I have I have the same clients for 5 years. Those are like my people. And exactly. I had 2 major health crises in my life that defined the work that I do, which is why I really do thank God, the universe, that these things happen. I'm like you, Don. I'm like, give me the bottom of the barrel health stuff because if I can't figure it out, I don't know who can. So I always say that I'm like, it has to be us. Like I'm willing to experience it all. And I sure have.
You got an interesting story.
Would love to share it.
You've got a very interesting story. So you have boatloads of success stories, but you were 100 pounds heavier at one point. You went through it. Like, how did this all start? Like, where's the origin story here? Exactly. Like, give it to us.
It starts in Queens, New York City, baby. Right here in Queens. So I did grow up in Queens, and I had, honestly, an amazing life in about every single way. Friends, grades, like beautiful life. But growing up, I was always in a larger body. Like, I kind of was the person who, when I was like 6, I gained like an extra 10 pounds, and every year it just became the extra 10 pounds. So by the time I was in high school, I was morbidly obese. And I was the class clown in my high school, 5,000 students, crowning achievement of my life. Like
everyone loved you.
Yeah, exactly. Like same.
I was most talkative.
That's the same thing.
It kind of is.
It's the same exact thing.
Yours is cool though. Most talkative just sounds annoying. They're like, shut up. Like that's class clown's funny. Most talkative, I think.
You are gregarious. That's the word I would use. He is. He's quite gregarious. You are. It's true. So in high school, again, weight for me, it didn't hold me back from that much from like a social aspect. I never felt sick or anything, but I was going into college and I was going from Queens, the most diverse place in the entire world. My high school is one of the most diverse high schools in the world.
Which high school?
Cardozo High School in Queens.
Yeah, I know Cardozo.
Yeah, every time I see someone they know, because there's 5,000 students a year. So it's like, so going into college, I realized, people aren't going to know, oh, she's Michelle Shapiro. She's cool. They're going to judge me based on my appearance. And I was going to the University of Delaware. And I knew Delaware is not a place like Queens where people are accepted for like whatever race, gender, sexual orientation, body size. I knew it's going to be a much more homogenous place. Like, so I realized I kind of have to lose weight before I go to school because people are going to judge based on first impressions. And that's how people are going to make like new friends. I had this like amazing community and then realized I was going into a new one. So I went on a very rapid weight loss journey before going to college and lost close to 100 pounds in less than, I think it was like 6 months or something like that. It was very, very rapid. I basically am the type of person like you, Don, where if I say I'm doing something, I'm doing it. So I just went on a very calorie restricted diet and spent, honestly, much of college very chronically ill. I was at like a healthy weight, but I was really sick and I couldn't understand why. And started to unpack maybe the rapid weight loss actually wasn't the most amazing thing for my body and put my body into that kind of what I think is toxic state.
Which is actually, it's amazing to think that people still can't relate that, just because you look skinny doesn't mean you're healthy, right? And there's so many. So this was a time of your life where you started drinking, like you were mentioning, energy drinks.
Yeah. I would drink 8 low-carb Monsters a day, and I was on like a 500-calorie day diet.
God.
I have to issue a trigger warning because I'm really asking people, please do not do this part of the story. This was what cost me basically like 10 years of illness. So it really wasn't worth it in the end. And then at the same time, from a nuanced lens, I don't know that I would have lost weight if I didn't do it black and white like that, because that's just how my brain works. So I think every part of my story was there for a reason, but I would not recommend it to anyone doing it.
You developed anxiety. I remember reading a post of yours where you went to, I think, Europe for the first time or London, and you were talking about a picture. And it was like, this picture here was a moment for you. 100%. And I looked at that and I was really able to kind of feel you and connect you, not because I went through it, but I thought it was so admirable for you to turn around and say, this was a moment where, I used to not be able to leave 100 feet from a location I was at. I used to have anxiety attacks several times a day. I was actually able to go away. Non-scale victories here. Everyone is always looking at, well, I'm he's skinny, she's skinny. That's nothing to do with health.
No, and if you've experienced severe panic attacks, like it's such a specific feeling that you could not explain to someone. It's like, I feel like I'm going to die for no reason or for a reason. So for myself, with my panic attacks manifested as agoraphobia. So it was like a fear of leaving. So what it turned into was, because I've always been a hyper social person, very, very social person. In college, I couldn't be alone. So I would have all of my friends sleeping over every single night. I don't think I didn't sleep in the same room as someone the entire time I was in college. Not even a roommate, just other friends. They had to sleep on the floor.
Is that because you were having anxiety, or was it just because you wanted
I having anxiety, and also was I had really severe insomnia, was up all night and hated being alone. And that's something that's changed in me so much.
Yeah.
It was a terrible feeling. And I just wasn't comfortable being with myself. And it was honestly driven by a lot of physiological stuff that I learned later, because we often think of panic attacks and anxiety as being purely mental. I think of them as being very physiological. And I think there's a lot of drivers for them. But when it came to the agoraphobia and not being able to leave the house without having a panic attack, I remember I was driving from Queens back to Delaware, and my aunt was talking about how our cousin went on a trip on birthright to Israel, and said, like, you really have to go, Michelle, you really have to go. And I was like, I'm going to tell you something, to my aunt, who's a family friend, but I call her my aunt. I'm like, Enid, I'm going to tell you something. I can't even think about walking 5 steps in front of me. I think I'm going to die on the car ride to Delaware.
That's rough.
You're talking about flying 12 hours away. I'm like, I'm trying to not die in the next 10 minutes or throw up out of your car window. Like, that's how minute to minute it was for me, and how people did not understand where I was. And it was so counter to my personality. Like, it's just so unlike me to be like that, because I'm so connected and outgoing. And it's like, I want to do things with the people I love more than anything in the world. So the healing from the panic side of it was one of the most important, like, parts of my healing journey. And I think one of the most, like, important pieces of forming my identity and who I am now.
Well, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to that, but in a way I really do, because you went from such a bad place, even though most people would have looked at you and said, she's not. And that's probably more common than most people think.
100%.
How did you start? I mean, so you were able to drop the weight, didn't mean you were healthy.
No.
What clicked in your head that suddenly you said, I have to start educating myself? And now I'm assuming that because you were able to heal yourself, you're like, I'm making a career out of this because I'm really connected to this, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So I went to school originally for marketing, but I wanted to go into nutrition, even though I had already lost the weight, like many dietitians do, because I wanted to learn more secrets of weight loss. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go into this dietetics degree and I'm going to lose even more weight. I'm going to learn more. And what ended up happening was, in the dietetics degree, I was like, oh, you're grossly under eating. And everyone I was with was like, you're not eating any, like you're eating way too little. So actually the dietetics degree helped me to at least understand that I was under fueling myself. But that wasn't really enough for me, because the dietetics degree did not give me any support with my anxiety. There was no functional, holistic aspect to it that led me and made me really able to help myself in that regard. So I ended up seeking, after college, the help of a naturopathic physician. And this was only, I developed in college what I call like my first battle plan. I call my client plans battle plans. And I basically read as many books as I could, blogs, anything I could get my hands on at the time, because this is like in the early 2000s, obviously. So anything I get my hands on to try to understand what helps anxiety. So I was like, okay, there's something about magnesium, there's something about blood sugar. I was using these different like audio books, whatever was available at the time. And I was reading like hundreds of books on anxiety. And I basically developed what I call my first battle plan, where I said, how do you target anxiety? Lifestyle, supplement, nutrition. And I wrote myself out this plan, and I said, you're going to target this from every angle. And if you can't get yourself better, you'll get help from like a functional medicine doctor or something, which wasn't really a thing then, by the way.
Right.
But I was like, I think there's like an adrenal fatigue something.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, and I didn't learn it in my degree. So I would say I got myself about 80% better. And then I went to seek help with a naturopathic physician. Dr. Robert Kochko is one of my best friends now, and I like forced him to be my best friend in that first appointment. It was like a 2-hour appointment. I was like, it's weird you think you're my doctor because we're best friends.
We're friends. Yeah, we're like, no, but you're like,
and then we became business partners and best friends, of course. I was like, you don't get it. What's about to happen? Your life is over now. Like, we're done.
Sure, he loves you. I love it.
Yeah, one of my closest people in my life.
Amazing.
And he sat with me for 2 hours, and he ran lab tests that showed me, here's what's going on with your stress hormones. And I was like, oh, you can see anxiety on paper?
Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I understood finally I had severe vitamin B deficiencies. All these things that I'd read about was what I was experiencing. So that took me that extra 20% of the way, but I had to get myself there and get to the point where I said, okay, now I need even more help. And that's also what prompted me into functional dietetics as opposed to just dietetics too.
Yeah, it's also impressive at that time in your life that you understood the food as medicine approach, because I think a lot of people in the beginning, they want to eat well for vanity purposes and weight loss, et cetera. And you can feel it. I can feel it. Like if I turn around and decide to, eat one night, like I'm going to the electric chair, which doesn't really happen much, but like just say it's a holiday, you're having fun, you're letting your hair down. The next day, mood's off, energy's off, sleep quality's off. But I just love how you took this food as medicine approach. I'm not going to say it's simple in the sense of like, oh, it doesn't. No, you take a simple, you understand, and you also did another post. I always, diving on you. You're talking about, oh yes, the saunas are fine, the cold plunges are fine, but guys, like that is a fraction. It gets a bit frustrating how people put so much weight into these things. I think they're valuable, but when you're going to weigh them in comparison, like it's not even a comparison. Like sleep, diet, exercise.
Yeah, there's not, it's the tip of the pyramid. If there's like a pyramid, we all like can evoke this like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in our head. If you think of like the bottom of the pyramid, it's like the essentials, shelter, having access to food, like the most baseline essentials. And then like cold plunging, sauna, all of those things, they're not going to literally make your body feel safe or healthy.
It's the cherry on the whipped cream.
And they're fabulous. We use them all the time. I sauna all the time.
Sure.
We love these tools.
Love them.
They're amazing tools and they're effective tools, but they do not treat the baseline issue, which is that people do not feel like they either recognize their bodies or feel safe inside of their bodies. And nothing changes that besides listening to what your body needs and then handing it to your body. And that's a lot of the work that I do with clients. It's less about like the actual like nutrients in food, which is funny. It's more about building that communication because I don't know what a client's body needs until they can answer the call from within their body. And everyone's different, honestly.
When they start feeling it though, I think that becomes motivating.
It's magic.
I think it's magic because suddenly you're like, oh, well, and you hear from people, well, why'd you start partying? Why'd you stop partying? They're like, because I just started enjoying waking up Saturday mornings feeling good.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's a beautiful thing. All right, guys, first off, I have to thank my sponsors, one of them right now being MitoPure. Thank you guys for just being a loyal sponsor of ours. Probably, I think it was our first one. Was that our first sponsor? Yeah, I think it was. I'm saying it was. So they have a few different products. They have MitoPure, which is a urolithin A product, which is why I'm in my 60s and I look like I'm in my early 40s. So I've been taking this product for a while. My skin, my lines, my energy level, my mitochondrial function is fantastic. And this is one of those supplements. I like supplements, but you got to understand, I really value the importance of nutrition and sleep. MitoPure, their urolithin A supplement, I take 4 capsules a day. That's 1,000 milligrams. I take it religiously and I really can't travel without it now because I have seen benefits come from this with probably about 3 to 6 months. I just started feeling like my skin was glowing a little bit more. I was feeling a bit younger. I was. Okay, I'm not 60, I'm 48. Cat's out of the bag now. They also have these gummies that are delicious. And they also have a powder, which is fantastic as well if you're into powders. So that's it, guys. MitoPure, again, thank you again. Timeline, thank you. And Timeline is offering 20% off your first order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/stronger. That's TIMELINE.com/stronger. I can't believe I actually had to read how to spell timeline. I did though. Thanks, guys.
So I had this first weight loss experience. And from that, that's where I learned kind of my roadmap for helping clients with anxiety and the mindset of anxiety. And there's like really specific tools that I learned. And then I had a second health crisis about 4 years ago where I had COVID. I got long COVID. And then I had all these mysterious symptoms. And I don't know, you're familiar with, obviously, you're well into the functional medicine space. So you see posts, it was a lot about like leaky gut, SIBO. A lot of that was popular, but there was this like new set of symptoms I had never experienced in my life.
What were you experiencing?
Yeah, so I was having intense dizziness all the time. And I was, I had tremors. Like I would get these adrenaline dumps.
Did you get shortness of breath ever?
Absolutely had shortness of breath. So I had basically 2 flares that happened during this time that were really profound. One of them was I went to get a chiropractic adjustment. And while getting the chiropractic adjustment, they took like this tool and like chiropractic are gonna be like, I know what tool that is. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a scalpel type tool. And we're digging it into my neck. It's like a metal. It's like a metal.
Piece. It's like a metal, like almost like a hook, but it's not sharp.
Exactly.
They were scraping.
It was intended to go into my tissue. So kind of digging into my neck. I walked out of that chiropractic visit.
Like mangled.
I was Don,
yeah.
My heart rate was 160 sitting.
Yeah. Oh,
I could not get my heart rate down and I couldn't see because I was so dizzy. So I was holding on to walls on the streets and I walked straight to the ER and I said, forget it. So this is the fascinating thing where it ties into your world too. There's a combination of syndromes that kind of travel together. One of them is long COVID, mast cell activation syndrome, which is the histamine condition. That's where histamines come from our mast cells. POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I'm sure you've worked with clients who have POTS before.
Yep.
And then hypermobility. And all of these things are together. So my neck was extremely hypermobile and I didn't know. I had severe upper cervical instability. The nerves in your neck control your heart rate.
Right.
So
it got in this protection mode where it just kind of lock up and then it sent a signal off and heart rate through the roof. It's like kind of went into a little bit of a panic.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. And because our connective tissue, it's so scientifically complicated, but our connective tissue is where our mast cells live. Mm-hmm. So then you get a weird histamine reaction, hypermobile reaction. So a lot of people wouldn't expect that, wait, something that's happening to your neck affects your heart rate. But all of these things, your autonomic nervous system and your nerves that are affected here, if you don't have good stability, protecting them and protecting the area, were affected. So from that moment, I mean, that was one of the scariest days of my life because I was like I was on the cement. I had my sister on the phone. My sister's
when your heart rate jacks up like that and you don't know why, it is. You think you're having a heart attack.
I thought I was having a heart attack and I had no clue what this was. And also, I'm sure even if you've experienced really high heart rate, you just don't know, like moving is going to make it worse or sitting. So you feel like you're a little bit paralyzed.
You feel caught.
You feel caught. Exactly. So I just made my way to the ER and I had the wherewithal when I got there to be like, I have generally low blood pressure. This might be like a POTS thing and just postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I was like, just to let them know, and it helped guide. But at that point, I was like, I have to figure out what is going on with me because I cannot live like this. So I had to wear a neck brace for like a year. My clients, I saw them all virtually. I didn't have the neck stability after that because I'm assuming the joints were loosened or something in my neck because I already have stretchy joints, that my head, even to hold myself up, it was impossible for me to hold myself up. And it's really hard because there's not good musculature to help you there either or anything like that.
It's funny. I used to categorize it a bit differently. I would always say hyper flexible.
Sure.
Because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But like I would always consider mobility the combination of flexibility and stability.
Absolutely.
Right? So when people come in and they're like, oh, he's stretching, and I'm looking at a woman on the floor and she's in this full split with her nose to the floor and she's like, I'm tight. I'm like, you're not tight. You're just like, you're obviously not tight.
Exactly.
You don't have stability. So that's exactly what was happening with you. And typically what I would do is with someone who's lacking in stability, you got to get those areas strong. So did you have to go through like a rehabilitation protocol?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So did you meet with a PT?
Yeah. So I ended up meeting virtually with a hypermobility specialist. Her name is Taylor Goldberg. Her name's on Instagram, the Hypermobile Chiro. She's beyond incredible.
Shout out.
One of the most knowledgeable people in the world.
Where's she located out of?
She's out of, now she just moved to Florida. I'm glad to get her back on the East Coast. She was in Colorado. Now she's in Florida.
Right.
But she works virtually with clients. But so hypermobility is, like you said, it could be a stability issue. It could be a flexibility issue. I'm not flexible. I only get the bad stuff. I'm like stiff and sloggy. I don't know. I get all the bad stuff of it. But also, that's not true because there's much worse versions of it. But there's a set of genetic conditions called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which I'm sure you've heard of, EDS.
I've not heard of that. Ehlers-Danlos, no, I've not.
Yeah, so that's a hypermobility. It's a set of syndromes that is hypermobility from a genetic standpoint or a hereditary Ehlers-Danlos, which is not genetic. Basically, this is the confusing thing. Hypermobility can be categorized as a connective tissue disorder. Now, connective tissue, a type of tissue in our body, it lines our joints, blood vessels, bones, and organs. So there's connective tissue all over our body. If you can't build connective tissue, you don't have that stability. So what does help is exactly what you're saying. You need to build muscle because muscle, it's like if you're almost like a bobblehead, you got to like put bricks up so that your body stays stable because your joints are not able to be stable. Your blood vessels are not able to be stable, which also ties in with the blood flow piece of it too. The deal is that if someone is hypermobile, like every single PT in Cairo should be doing a hypermobility assessment on clients because what a hypermobile person needs to do is not hyperextend, not do yoga and things like that right off the bat. They need stability usually, and muscle is so essential.
That's very common what you're saying though.
Extremely.
I mean, people are just, I think they're kind of gravitating to what interests them and they're working on things that maybe you don't have to work on. And I think it's this simple. Like if I have a woman that's in doing one of my programs and she messages me and she's like, well, I'm doing these reach backs and I don't feel it. And she puts a video up. I'm like, well, you don't need it. Like
exactly. Don't do that actually.
You're like Gumby. Like she's able to, her thoracic spine is like, can almost do, easily turns 180 degrees. I'm like, you don't need it. Like we have to find other things. So it's still shocking to me how many people do not screen. 100%. And what a problem that is. So you went through
you could see that in 1 second, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah,
like you would, exactly.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I'm now I'm pretty bad about it now because I'll watch people walk down the street and I'll look at their gait and I'm just like, I'm sorry to admit, I'm just like, oh God, this person's hip, their ankle.
I know. You're probably thinking about also injuries in 20 years. You're like, oh my gosh, like that. You can see almost, I feel like I can see someone's mindset 20 years. I can see what can happen to someone's body and health. Like you probably can literally look at someone and be like, I see their posture bending over time.
Yeah, it's rough because it doesn't get easier, right? I think part of the problem is that people have a tendency to give up.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm older. Well, I'm 40 now. And then I'm like, 40? Like what are you talking about? Like, is that old? Like, I think it's just, I think it's a mindset and it's an approach. So you spent a year in a neck brace. You rehabbed this thing.
Rehabbed. I was lifting weights. I had to start from nothing. And I will tell you, Don, like this is the story that I tell all of my clients. There was a moment where because anytime I stood up, my heart rate jumped. So that's what happens with POTS
That's scary.
It's scary as hell. It was the scariest.
You think you're having a heart attack.
It was the scariest thing I've ever been to. And I'm like a panic attack warrior. Like a panic attack can't touch me now. I do not get horrific anxiety. I know the deal with anxiety. This was like a whole different ballgame. I was like, for you to feel like with these conditions, with histamine issues, because histamine issues affect your heart rate too. They affect your dizziness, your blood flow. They affect all these, like what I would say is like vital signs.
Right.
So it's all the things you go to the ER for, right? Your heart's going crazy, you have a fever, your respiratory rate's changed, your blood pressure is changed. All of these things, because it affects your nervous system and your nerves control those things. I had this moment when I was realizing what was going on with me after the ER and during that year of rehab where I had to literally lift myself off my computer chair where I was seeing clients from and then use my computer chair to go to the bathroom. And I remember looking in the mirror at one point when I actually made it to the bathroom and was like, dude, you're not going to make it through this. And then I heard another part of me.
How old were you at that time?
Or like still late 20s, early 30s.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm 30. I'm going to be 34 this summer. So
that's rough for a young woman to be saying. I mean, that's.
Yeah. And my husband was like, who is like the most always healthy, full of energy, happiest, most even, neutral human being on planet Earth was like, what are we going to do here? Like, this is bad. So and that's not my vibe. I am like tough as nails. And I was like, Michelle, I just don't think you're going to make it through this. And then another part of me came out and was like, don't ever say that again. Because with these, if you're in that mindset and these are conditions that are controlled by your nervous system, they are, all of them. POTS is a form of dysautonomic function. It's a dysfunction of your autonomic nervous system. I was like, you can never afford to say that again. And that's when my life changed, is when I said, you're going to find every answer to these problems that are nowhere. No functional medicine doctors. All my best friends are functional medicine doctors, naturopathic physicians, like functional dietitians. No one knew what to do because there's actually a relationship between long COVID and mast cells as well. So the histamine issues everyone's having is a lot of the times from long COVID. So this is new, the huge influx of these conditions. The conditions are not new, but the amount of people experiencing them is new. And practitioners don't know what to do. Like, people feel worse if they exercise. You feel worse if you eat healthy foods. You feel worse in the sun. All the things that are healing can make people with histamine issues feel worse. So I felt very backed into a corner, but it was that mindset shift and I mean this, that changed everything for me. And I force my clients into that. I'm like, you can't afford to victim yourself in these situations, even though the symptoms are horrible. Like the symptoms are so bad, you can't afford it. You just cannot afford it.
And it's amazing. The people who make the most change in their lives are the ones that go and attack that mental side of it first. It's like understanding, what do I have to go through? What am I going to have to do to really make this change? And when you're kind of that's why I always tell people, I'm like, make sure there's not like 100 cooks in the kitchen. Like if you're going to go commit to Michelle, commit to Michelle.
Exactly.
And just listen to her. Exhaust that. I believe you can be working with her your entire life. But if in 3-4 years you move on for whatever, fine, but commit in that period of time. The mistake that most people make is that they're so easily influenced by a lot of the stuff that they're seeing on the web, and rightfully so. It's not their profession. It's not what they do. When they see
have huge followings.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. Oh, well, this person's saying this. What do you think? What were some of the things then that you had to change nutritionally? What do you feel like? And I'm not asking you to give your whole recipe book here.
I have no problem.
But talk about some of the things that you slowly started implementing in that you were like, oh, wow, this is, because I want to be clear, what's worked for you might work differently for someone else. So
exactly.
I do believe that if you're having these issues, you need to call someone like Michelle and work with her or her team. But like, give us some examples.
So first of all, the first huge nutritional shift I made was obviously in the first part of my story, I had to go from being vegan after 10 years to not being vegan. That was essential for me for every
Why were
part
you
of my health.
vegan? Did you think it was healthy, or was it more
Yeah.
for? Yeah.
Well, you know what? Like when I was in college, it was very hot and cool then. It was like very the thing to do. What actually happened was my sister said she was becoming vegan. And then I was like, I bet I can do it longer than you just for no reason. Yep. And then I really think I used veganism as a shield for my eating disorder. Like I was like, oh, I actually can't eat that because I'm vegan. But it's like, no, you're just not eating. That's what's actually happening, which is very common, which is why in like eating disorder facilities, you cannot have any dietary restrictions because it was a little bit of a shield for me, honestly. But then at some point when I did all these lab tests for my anxiety, I was like, oh, you have literally no vitamin B. I had like, I think my vitamin B was like 100 something. Like it was so low. All my nutrients were low. And then I was supplementing and I just could not get enough. Right. I had to start getting it from food. And that radically changed my anxiety in my life. During this period of my life and my health, so this is the weirdest thing, Don. Foods that are high in histamines, and histamines, again, can cause system-wide, very odd reactions from every single system in your body. Pain, dizziness, hives, fevers, blood flow changes, like anything. They're a very potent, like neurotransmitter-like chemical. They're not neurotransmitters, but they're chemical messengers. But the foods that are high in histamines are very healthy. So it's fermented foods, citrus, like if you think of, like, again, fermented foods, like if you go to any gut health doctor, like any of those foods they tell you to eat, citrus foods, avocado, spinach, tomatoes, anything like tomato-based.
You could have a bad reaction to that, right? Depending on.
Oh, I have clients who've eaten a tomato and ended up in the hospital.
Wow.
The next day with severe, almost anaphylaxis, basically. And it's not an allergy to the food. It's that the food itself is high in histamines. And histamines.
And you're not saying these are unhealthy foods.
Oh, no.
You're just saying that like these people had really bad reactions to that.
So if your body is high in histamines because your mast cells are sending out this histamine signal, then you eating high histamine foods could actually make you sick, which is so weird.
Gas on the fire that you're trying to put out, right?
I guess it's almost like if someone's really bloated and they eat a high fiber food, like high fiber foods are good for you, but not if you're already bloated, kind of, right?
Right.
So that's the complicated thing about all this is like lemons are really high in histamines. Like lemons are some of the healthiest foods in the world. Like I would love to tell my clients to drink lemon water in the morning. So what I started to do was take some of those foods out, even though they were healthy, but because I was reacting to them. It's a really hard diet, a low histamine diet. So it's not something I ever recommend long-term. And it's not healthy because you're cutting out so many really, really healthy foods. It's a very weird thing that you have to eat a little bit like odd to bring the symptoms down. But it's
then when
severe.
The symptoms come down, do you feel like in a way that's kind of resetting things for you? Because now you start kind of trying to reintroduce almost like an elimination diet, right? Is that what you ended up doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I can eat any high histamine food now, except for pickles, which is painful as a Jew. It's painful that I can't eat pickles. It's hurtful. It's culturally hurtful. You know what I mean? God. I can't do it. But that's the one food that I haven't been able, because there's vinegar, they're fermented, they're aged. So yeah, it's a little bit hard.
Can you eat like crab, kimchi, stuff like that?
Absolutely. Yep. I eat it all the time now. Everything's back, literally except for pickles. Again, very hurtful, but I can eat any food, but it took a long time. So you can also take supplements that help to like break down histamines, but what people are missing, and you are kind of pointing out very intuitively, is that just eating a low histamine diet doesn't fix the problem, but it can reduce the symptoms enough where then your body can start healing itself. So it is important. Like, again, I have clients who they're like, Michelle, what did I even eat wrong? What, I eat chocolate, like a bite of chocolate? And I'm like, yeah, your stomach, you might have diarrhea for 6 days from that. That's how severe
it's so
the histamine
difficult
reaction.
For people to be able to pinpoint that stuff because you're consuming foods that you know are healthy. They've been promoted as being healthy. And that's not where you would normally say, well, the X is on that. It's not like they're eating fried chicken fingers where it's like, okay, well, that was clearly it. Like you're talking about tomatoes.
You're talking about the healthiest foods in the world.
Yeah,
spinach.
Spinach. Like fermented.
Bananas. Yeah. Like dark chocolate. Like these are, this is where it's such a complicated conversation, Don, because these are not unhealthy by any means. It's like your body is playing checkers when it needs to be playing chess. It's just a different game that you have to learn, but it has to be temporary. You know, my client plans, the ones that we write, I still call them battle plans. So corny.
I love it.
Exactly. It's so corny. But my idea of battle is we're going to literally strategize and target from every angle. They're usually 20 pages long. Like most of the plans are like 16 to 20 pages. They're handwritten 16 to 20 pages because I also want clients to have like what I call like a flare pack. So like this symptom happens, you come back to this. It's different for every person. One person could have blood flow issues and it could be that like their heart rate's too high and their heart rate's too low. Opposite recommendations. One person, they eat a food that triggers them and that causes a histamine issue. So the minutia of knowing each person's body is so essential, but it's mostly about us learning our own bodies, my clients learning their own bodies. Like you have to know yourself in order to heal. And I think most people don't realize that. Like your long-term clients, you know, like every inch of what's going on in their lives. I mean, you have to. It's like, exactly.
You know, but still, it's there's things that change and flare up. And it's, you know, if I'm working with someone and it's been 15 years and I'm still working with them, you got to, it's different.
100%.
And their priorities change and things just change. And that's the beauty of it. But that's also why I think so many people are confused out there because they're like, well, this worked for me and I got a great response off of this. Why isn't it now? And the human body changes. Not to pivot because there's 100 different ideas that we can talk about, but you mentioned long COVID a couple of times. Yeah. And I know there's so much more we can discuss in reference to histamines, but I think this was more of just like an eye opener for people to say, hey, I might have those problems. Maybe Michelle or her team, someone I should reach out.
I can't believe we're talking about histamines. I thought we were going to do weight loss. I can't believe we're on Don's pod and we're talking histamines. It's so cool to talk about it with like a fitness professional. It's so sick.
I think it's fascinating.
So
I think probably more people
it makes me
having
emotional.
Yeah, but more people are having these issues. And I think this is what the weight loss piece, the macro piece, it's like,
how many times?
It's like, yeah, but like, you know, and I'll continue to talk about that stuff. But I think that is part of your strong suit. I'm not, but I think now you're becoming this person that, like you said, a lot of doctors don't want to deal with that because it's really hard. Long COVID, right? What are some of the things that you found as an after? I mean, long COVID, it is one big after effect, right? That's what it is. But what is it? What is it really?
So fascinating. So I just want to reference one study and I'm going to tell you where it was out of because I'm forgetting right now. But they found that in this study that the quality of life for those with long COVID was often lower than those with stage 4 cancer.
Wow.
They were less able to work. They were in more pain and discomfort. And I think part of that is because if you say to someone, I'm on chemotherapy and I have stage 4 cancer, people instantly understand that you do not feel well. If you have long COVID and you're like, I have this weird, mysterious condition, people are like, you're faking it or you're a hypochondriac or something.
It doesn't really exist,
It's isolating. And also the symptoms are very drastic. So COVID happened. COVID itself was a gnarly, gnarly virus. The vaccines a lot of people reacted to. The virus itself a lot of people reacted to. That did not explain why people were still sick with fatigue, dizziness, all these symptoms 3 months later. Didn't make sense. People had severe insomnia. Like there's issues with like smell and sense of smell and things. That was like more related to the virus itself. So there's the virus itself, but then there's like this kind of cascade that happens after. And that's what no one seemed to understand because they were like, if you got the flu, Don, you'd feel horrible for a week. It has nothing to do with 3 months later. It's like, yeah, maybe you would feel bad, mono or something like that. But flus like respiratory illness did not usually cause that. So COVID caused this reaction. We have a type of cell, an immune cell in our body called mast cells. So I want you to picture like there's all over our body, there's these mast cells. They have basically things will attach to the outside of them or attack, and then they will release compounds from the inside. It's like, oh, I have to send this to help with the body. So COVID and mast cells have a perfect relationship. So there's this type of receptor called the ACE2 receptor outside of mast cells. COVID attaches to it, and then mast cells send out their compounds. They send out 1,200 different compounds. One of the main ones is histamines. Mast cells, I think of as like the guards on the tower of our body. So they're like looking around, making sure everything's okay. And they are very involved in both the nervous system and the immune system. And they interface there. So they can react from a nervous system threat or from an immune system threat. So they basically looked at COVID. They got attacked because of COVID. And they were like, that can never happen again. So what your body does, it puts itself in an immune state where it's constantly activated. And that's what mast cell activation syndrome is. Right. Okay. I have never seen someone in my practice ever who has long COVID and doesn't have MCAS. Wow. Never. I've never seen one client. So there's a couple different reasons why I think long COVID and MCAS are related. And the reason why long COVID keeps happening is because your immune system is so freaked out from COVID because it was such an attack and it was so specific with the mast cells that it keeps going.
Is it correctable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I absolutely believe so. Now,
Yeah, but it's not. But I love how you just put that.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying it that way. You said, I believe so.
I do.
There's still not research that's conclusive. And this is the part of our industry where I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
And I am not going to, I think, we put a disclaimer on it. It's okay to say that, like through your experience.
Science is not clear cut. That's not what science is.
No, I want to hear,
exactly.
I want to hear you say, listen, research is not conclusive, so I'm giving you my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I think we should be allowed to say that. So what is your opinion on that?
I believe you can improve your baseline health and bring your immune system back into coherence and balance, and then go on to live basically the same life, but be cautious that flares can happen. That's what I would say. It's all about increasing the baseline, reducing the flares. So in myself, for instance, I can do anything except for eat pickles, as I told you.
Right.
I can travel anywhere. I can sit up for millions of hours. I can do anything. I don't get dizziness. I don't get histamine symptoms. There's like one day in my cycle a month where I'm like, all right, I'll take a Zyrtec, but I'm not on antihistamines at all anymore. And I had a very severe case of long COVID. I don't have any symptoms anymore, but if I went on a 15-hour flight or something and then I sat in the heat, I would
might feel it.
I would feel it, exactly.
So some of the symptoms for people to start saying, well, maybe I have this. What are some of the symptoms?
Dizziness, heart rate issues, insomnia, severe fatigue is probably one of the most characteristic issues.
Similar to the histamine.
Because it is the histamine.
It is the histamine.
That's the secret. It is the histamine. That is, I think long COVID is generally categorized by the fatigue. That's the leading symptom.
Okay.
But it's like I would call long COVID when the systems in your body go haywire. It's like and it's like it'll happen usually like a week or two after your COVID, like normal sickness happens, then something else kicks on. That's when your immune system and nervous system kick on. It's an after effect. And then you live in this like different symptoms. A lot of people experience weight loss or weight gain, muscle loss, appetite changes as well. But it is this extremely aggressive immune state. It's very nutrient depleting because your body's constantly on, so to speak, which leaves people feeling tremendously fatigued. And I notice there's like that opposite sleep pattern that happens where people will start to be really tired during the day and not be able to sleep at night too.
So it's fitting that we at least brought it up, considering the whole talk was on histamine. I mean, this is something where if someone's having that, they're all very intertwined.
Yes.
Okay.
I think people are starting to know because it's such a distinct terror. I have to be honest. It's torture. It really is it's the worst symptoms altogether that people are starting to recognize. Oh, my body feels really different than it used to, and I can't understand where it's coming from. I would start looking at histamines and long COVID in that situation.
Do you offer like a free quiz or something like that?
Yes. I have a quiz, and it is, are you living in a highly sensitive body?
Right.
Which is like, my definition for highly sensitive body is like, do you have MCAS, POTS, long COVID, or hypermobility?
Sure. Okay.
Something will be picked up from that. So I'll give you the quiz.
That's something where Chris, I'd love to maybe in this in our link, maybe take the quiz for most people who are curious. I think that'd be a great way. So this was special today. It's always great connecting with you. I loved it. But I want to get you on again, and I'd like to we got to cover some of the GLP-1s. We have to cover weight loss. Anxiety. We got to go deeper too. We can go deeper in anxiety. I think there's some, and I think just today was important because I wanted people to get familiar on you.
Don, this is what I have to say about you.
Thank you.
He said thank you. He said thank you prophylactically. But I think you, even more than the energy you put online, which is you're one of the most positive and kind and warm people in the world, but you're also willing to get really deep and go there. And it's so important and so refreshing. And you influence so many people's lives so much. And I just have to say, it's such a joy to have you in my life. And I'm just very proud to know you, and I'm so grateful to be here. Yeah, I mean it. Love you. Thank you.
The views, information, or opinions expressed in this series are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Chip and Joanna Gaines, Binel Audio, nor Magnolia.